The annual architecture commission, the pavilion, was started in 2000. Our thinking behind it is it's an exhibition of an architect's work in a built form rather than through photographs, drawings and models.
They take the site into account. These are not pavilions which have been built elsewhere and then are shipped to London. These are things which happen in situ.
And our encouragement to the architects to include signature elements of their architectural language.
All these, ingredients, so as to say, which surround and circumvene this very, very narrow, small piece of land where each year, this miracle happens.
Is a way for the public, and as a public institution, to show exactly what a Frank Gehry building looks like.
I mean, it is chaotic and it is kind of spectacular. I'm sure it will leave a lot of people going, coming away going, yeah, okay, but why? I think it's, just the spectacle of it is what it's all about, really. A big part of Frank's architectural concept was big lumps of timber. Gehry's wanted to have this kind of random and chaotic arrangement of hangars, a kind of concept sketch in built form.
I saw this jumble of steel and timber and glass, and the first thoughts were, how the hell am I going to build it?
We were brought on board in February. Gehry's had been thinking about it for a few weeks already, but not for very long.
We literally were signed up to do this project about 2 weeks before we actually started on site. Steel procurement alone, there's normally 20 weeks at least lead-in time for the procurement, and in that 20 weeks we actually built the job.
The first lift of the goalpost was a scary one, just because it was the first big lift on the project.
We couldn't put the crane where we wanted. In the end, though, we actually did put the crane right outside of the Serpentine Gallery main entrance.
That's always a nervous moment to know whether it's going to fit on its basis, and because there was very little tolerance there, and it was a very heavy bit of kit. That was a tense moment.
Once the primary frame was erected, we then had to look at the positioning of the crane to erect all the glass canopies.
Well, they start with the timber mullions, which are pre-assembled as a kind of grillage, and at the moment the remaining ones are all stacked at the far end of the site. They pick up the grillage and they put that down onto a flat bed of timber bearers. You can see that one on the ground over there. And then they start putting the glass on, so the glass spans directly onto the timbers, and that's all done flat on the ground.
Because of the angle that they're at, we had to hang them off the crane with some adjustable turfer winches so that we could adjust the attitude of the glass canopy to roughly that of the final position.
The geometry is so complex, and there are 7 or 8 hangers for each canopy, and the risk of one of those hangers not connecting to its housing is always something that we're worried about. Going into it, having done the design, you're 99% confident it's not going to move by more than X number of millimetres, but until they actually put it in and take the crane away, you really don't know whether it's going to behave the way you want it to.
Well, one of the canopies, canopy number 4, it's the one nearest to the pavilion. As they erected that, 2 of the hangars were slightly closer than we'd anticipated. We had a laptop with us, we had the computer model, and we were able very quickly to interrogate that model and understand whether that slight imposed deflection on that hanger would cause any undue concern. It didn't.
Acoustics was something we knew right from the outset was going to be important to the design.
I got this call that morning. I was already busy. I said, yes, I can do it. And they told me it should be done in a short time. We need the answer by the next week. I said, it's fine.
So it was more or less a case of analysing the envelope you know, as it had been designed, just to see how well or how bad that could work, and if it wasn't working very well, to think of other things that you could layer on top of that to help improve the acoustic performance.
It worked really well because the architecture solution helps the acoustics to work, and they work at the same time both together, and is what should happen every time.
The way Gehry likes to light his buildings is very much lighting focused on the inside, such that at night time the building glows.
This idea of a glowing lantern works out on its own. When the pavilion is empty, you have a static glow. But the magic part of it, the beauty of it, is when the people move around, it actually would create a subtle shadow that's a flicker. And it's just start to give it life within the park, within the space, and that's what we're hoping for.
You know, it's testament to Gehry kind of thinking ahead, really, of all of these problems, that together we approached all those things early in the design, and conceptually at least solved how to do all those things before it was too late. Everyone, I think, knows about it and knows that these pavilions are always great things to be involved in.
Creativity don't stop at 9 to 5, it is other times beyond, and that sort of gives them the incentive to do a lot more.
It's like something new in the architecture world, an experiment.
So there's an element of satisfaction. At the end of the day, you look back and you say, well, I built that.
Every time there is an experiment, there is innovation.
Certainly the most spectacular pavilion.
It forces us to think outside the box. We have to think quickly.
I think Toyo Ito's was always heralded as the best one yet. I think this rivals that, certainly. Who agrees to follow this as an act? I mean, you know, where do you go from Gehry in a way?